This is some powerful stuff. Do you know what is going on inside of your mind? Do you know all the thoughts that you are going through in your mind? Well, of course not. We have our consciousness. We perceive only limited amount of information. But there is much more unconscious information, unconscious parts of you that scream for your attention. Now this video is gonna be about something really powerful, something that some people call shadow work. But it is really about you becoming more you. Now, very quickly, what the hell is shadow work? It is a process of discovering your shadows. That sounds a little scary, doesn't it? Some also call them demons. And the process can be scary. But the result of the process is you becoming more of you, and therefore it's very liberating. And so what exactly are your shadows or your demons? Well, let me tell you a story that may feel very real. Little Johnny. Little Johnny is about 5 years old. He's playing with his fire truck and he's a regular boy. Has regular emotions. He is going through this socialization process. He's discovering his emotions and he's interacting with other people, with other kids. Now one day, little Tommy steals his fire truck. So what Johnny should be doing? What a little Johnny should do? Of course, he gets angry and maybe even punches Tommy into his belly. Now his parents get really angry. What the hell, Johnny? Why did you do that? You've always been such a good boy. Now, how do you feel? Little Johnny feels. Oh my God, I expressed myself, and because I expressed myself, I lost the love of my parents. Do you know what this feels in little and maybe a little primitive boy's mind? It feels like dying. Because in the ancient time, when a child was abandoned, it died. So eventually this little boy feels like he is gonna die. So what do you think this little boy is gonna do? He will try his best not to express those emotions again, not to express anger anymore again in his life. And whenever the anger comes, whenever somebody steals his truck or whatever, tries to suppress all the emotions because he wants to survive, because he wants to live. And then again, and then little Johnny is not that little anymore. Little Johnny grows up to be a good boy. Good boy that doesn't express his anger. And do you know what happens to not that little Johnny? Sometimes somebody steps on his shoe and that fills his cup that is very, very full already, and he blows up over little things. Did that ever happen to you? Did something happen? Somebody pushed your button and you just started screaming, or you just started crying, or you just started expressing this emotion of yours. And it felt that you don't control yourself. It felt that this is not you. And that is why we do this shadow work. Shadow work is working with your shadows. Shadows are the parts that you suppressed when you were little, or not that little. This can happen at any point of your life. This can be any trauma in your life. So it is discovering the parts of you that you neglected, that you suppressed, that you didn't want to see anymore. And maybe you didn't do it even consciously. Well, we don't do it consciously, right? We just react sometimes to the situations that are in the regular life. Now, why does it feel that when we get to this state, when somebody pushes our button, it feels like we don't control ourselves? It's because we suppress this other part so much that it feels that it's not us. And this thing, this shadow work thing, is integrating those parts together. So you would be whole again. And again, that feels very liberating. That feels like a great thing. Sometimes it is also called split. We split our personality in two and we suppress one part. So we are aware of this one part and we are not aware of this part. But this part, this other part that is suppressed, badly wants to come to the surface, and that's why we sometimes blow up with tears or with anger. And you could also say, well, that is actually a good thing, not to express your anger, not to experience anger because we should be enlightened or whatever. But if somebody steals something of yours, what emotion exactly should you be feeling? Should you feel sorry for that person, or should you be sad? Or I think in that moment, actually, you should feel anger. And I don't mean the boyish anger and punching someone. I mean cultivated anger, grown up anger. Confront that other person with what they had done. Okay, so do you got what is it actually about, this shadow work, this integration process, integration of all your parts? If yes, then let's just continue with the video and actually how to do that, how to do this shadow work. And today I will tell you my most favorite tool, how you can integrate all the parts that you have suppressed during your life. First thing that you need to do is becoming aware. One of the reasons why you most probably have never heard of this process is that it's unconscious. This is unconscious. We suppressed it so many times we are not aware of this something, that this something is part of us. But how can you become aware of something that has been suppressed for so freaking long? Well, one of the good signs, one of the telling signs that tell you actually that there is some part of you that wants to get to the surface are those blow up emotions, okay? Overwhelming emotions. And they can be anything. It can be this anger, it can be sadness, it can be, very big anxiety when you get to a certain place. It can be any emotion. So look into your past and look into the situation when somebody pushed your button and you blew up with some emotion, anger, sadness, whatever it was. That was most probably one of your parts, one of your splits that wants to get to the surface, that badly wants to get integrated. Okay, alright, we have the first step. You became aware of some situation in your past where you blew up, when somebody pushed your button and you maybe overreacted with your emotions. And you may have felt that somebody else, something else is controlling you. So what the hell is the second step? Second step is objectification. Objectify this emotion or this thought that you had in such situation. Now, what the hell is this objectification? It's very simple. Look at this thought, look at this emotion as if it was an object. And first, look at the location. Alright, so let's say the anger that little Johnny was expressing. If you were expressing in your past this triggered anger, where would it be in your body? Would it be in your head? Which part of your head? Would it be in your chest, in your heart? Would it be in your hips? Wherever it was, wherever it could be. It could be outside of your body, it could be inside of your body. So find the location of this anger and don't overthink it, okay? This is the best when you turn off your thinking and you just are, and you just, do and imagine what first comes to your mind. So first find the location of this anger or of this emotion, of this thought that was happening to you in your past. Now, when you have the location, try to collect as much data about this thing, about this emotion as possible. So, how big it is, how small it is, how heavy it is, how light it is. Can you see through? What's the surface? What's the color? How do you feel about this emotion? What's the relationship between you and this thing? Try to collect as much data as possible about this thing, about this emotion. Alright, good, you got it. That's the second step. That's the second step done, and that's one of the most important steps. That's the magic, where the magic happens. And now it comes the third step. That is the most magical step. Now, in the third step, you will give it a voice. And you will start conversation with this something, with this anger. Alright. Sounds weird, I know, but bear with me. Try that. Okay, close your eyes. If this something had a voice and you could talk to it actually? What would you say? What would it reply to you? As if it was a conversation with something, with someone. It could be a little child, it could act like a little child. One of the important things to note is that your subconscious, and that is actually what we are talking to in this process, sometimes speaks in signs, alright? So you can imagine this something and suddenly it can turn into cobra, which actually happened to me not that long ago. Or it can transform itself into some object. Or you can just feel the answers. You might not hear the answers, alright? So just try to observe, try to feel what is happening inside, right? But try to interact with it, try to engage in conversation with this something. But what is actually the goal of this interaction? Because you can make a small talk with someone, right? And this is not the place to make small talk in. The purpose of this conversation is to get those two parts, and those two parts, I mean you and this something, this emotion, this part of you that you have suppressed, aligned. You want to have the same goal. You want to have those two parts to understand each other, to align, towards this one goal, which is living fully, being integrated. All right. Okay, so how do you do that? Imagine as if this part was your best friend. Imagine as if this part was your child or whatever helps you. Try to engage in conversation with this something as if you really want to come into understanding to each other. Why this part is acting the way it is, why this part is going so angry all the time or some of the time, or why this part is blowing up, why this part is so sad some of the times, why this part is triggered. Just communicate with it. Try to perceive those information. And one of the most important things to note, don't try to convince this part about your truth. That being, you shouldn't be doing that, you shouldn't be behaving like that, we should be, fully integrated person, and that's why you should agree with me. No, that's a no-no. Sometimes this other part has actually very interesting point. Like if somebody does something terrible to you, you should freaking get angry. You should react to it, and then not letting someone else stepping all over you. In the end, it's very simple. You need to have these parts to understand each other. That's it. That's the third thing. And when you have it, you have almost all the hard work done. And now the fourth part, the best part. When you came to an agreement, you just ask this other part. Do you want to become whole again? Do you want to become whole again? Just ask that part. And it never happened to me that when we actually agreed on what will we both be doing in the future, it never happened to me that it said no. All the time it says yes, and when it does, what do? Is just imagine you and this other part emerging into one person. And that is the most liberating process, because you actually integrated one of the parts that you suppressed in your past. And that just feels amazing. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing of integrating your shadows. Did you get it? In the end, it was very, very simple. First, you have to become aware of what do you actually want to integrate. Second, you have to objectify it. What if it was an object? Observe it in your mind's eye. Third, engage in dialogue with this something. And fourth, imagine those two parts, you and this something, integrating, merging to one whole thing, one whole you. This is the whole process. This is the process of getting rid of your buttons by integrating those parts that you have suppressed in your past. So do you have any questions? If so, leave them down in the comment sections and I will do my best to answer them all. And if you found this video useful, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button and tap on the bell so you wouldn't miss any cool stuff about your mind and about masculinity. This is one of the coolest and most powerful tools that I have came across with. So use it, do it, and you will see for yourself. You will be much more mature, much more fulfilled, much more happy person. And I will see you in the next video.